So, Clint, I appreciate you being on the show with me today. Before we get started, tell everybody who you are and what you're up to.
Hey, my name is Clint Emerson. I am consider myself a crisis management professional, both for the corporate world, nonprofit, private schools and places of worship. You name it, we do it through Escape the Wolf, and also author of 100 Deadly Skills series.
Yeah, you have literally written like a handful of books here.
Yeah, yep, little by little.
Little by little. So, you retired from the Navy, being a SEAL and being in intelligence, why not just sail off into the sunset? You certainly deserve that. Why start Escape the Wolf, right? Why write all these books?
Initially, while I was still in the teams, I was trying to get all the certifications so I could do like some global security director for a Fortune 500 or something cool like that. But as I started to get educated, I saw some gaps out there that, what I thought I was going to learn, I never learned, no matter how many as is courses I went to, or American Lock Association courses, or you name it, I went to them and I just didn't learn what I thought I was going to learn. So I figured, well, hell, I'll just develop what I thought I was going to learn myself and start to sell it. And, a lot of those philosophies are in the book Escape the Wolf. The book became a company. And then before you know it, it's been a full-time job ever since.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
So I followed you on social media. I've read all your books, and you are adamant that everybody has an inner hero. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one thing I promote the most is being self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-rescue oriented. You should take the time, just learn the skills, train with them if you can. But at a minimum, by learning skills, you're sensitizing your brain to what's going on in your environment or what could be used against you. If you're not going to learn it, at least by looking at the stuff I've put out, you'll at least see what could be done to you. And hopefully, in the middle of all that, um, you you kind of acquire the necessary abilities to do what needs to be done, without having to call 911, rely on others, and all that good stuff. So, point being is, if you just take a little bit of time to learn what needs to be learned, or retain a little bit here and there, then you'll find if you find yourself in that bad situation, you can be your own hero, a hero to your family, or even just a stranger that's standing next to you on a street corner.
Very cool. I think people are reluctant to count on themselves in an emergency. How do you help people find this inner hero?
Yeah, I think a piece of it is giving them that bits of knowledge that's informative, but also it has to be entertaining these days. So that's why the books have illustrations. And then, of course, a little bit of my tongue in cheek humor along the way. And I
Right.
think you put it all together, people aren't so overwhelmed or scared by, what would I do in this situation, that situation. As soon as you give them just a little bit of a blueprint, then a lot of times most people can take it the rest of the way. But you just got to give them that starting point, because security and safety is a big, overwhelming world. And so I felt like my job is just, hey, just make things simple. And all of a sudden, right? It's like, here's 4 steps to any 100 of the skills, just 4 steps, and you're there.
Very good. Just breaking it down one piece at a time. I like
That's
that.
right.
So I'm a dad. You're a dad. What are you telling your daughter right now in terms of making sure that she's safe wherever she is?
Yeah, when she was young, it was all about awareness, right? And now that she's gotten a little older and she's in her teenage years, now you can actually give them some pretty hard skills. So, the plan now for the a couple of hours every week is going to be dedicated to blade work, right? I had her on the pistol young, and she's really good on the gun. But the reality is going to college and all that, it's not realistic to be packing a weapon, right? So,
Sure. Yeah.
but a blade she can. And a blade, I don't know about you, I'd rather be shot than stabbed to death, so so not only is it a skill that
Hmm.
everyone should know how to use a knife properly, um, but it's also far more intimidating, and you can carry them legally,
Right.
almost anywhere, and that's really the key. So that's the next piece to keeping her secure.
Very cool. Personally, what's your favorite knife that you have in your collection?
I'm a fan of all of Bill Rapier's that he's been putting
Hmm.
out, Amtac blades. Obviously he's been a friend for 20 plus years, but I mean, he's put a lot of thought into his blade as it relates to violence, and also survival. He's one of very few blades where the sheath is a fire maker, and it's also got a little bit of like of a hidden pocket in it for money or a credit card. But overall, it is a awesome tool combined together with for violence and survival. And of course, I got to plug my own knife, which we
Yeah,
just yeah we just debuted here this past month or two, which is the Outlaw, which is it's a simpler knife, but it is an inside the pant, Kydex holstered fixed blade that's designed for just stabbing flesh and bone and all that good stuff.
very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So, when somebody is learning, with a knife, for firsthand, what kind of would you walk them through on how to develop those skills to make sure that one, they're not a harm to themselves, but also they can actually accurately defend themselves?
Yeah, I think trainers, right? You've got a lot for most of your knives out there um, that are there where they push and promote blade work. Usually, they have their blade, and then they have a trainer that comes with it, which is it looks and feels just like the knife, except it doesn't have a blade and it doesn't have a point, but it fits in the same exact sheath that you'll be using every day. So right off the bat, to ensure safety, always buy a blade that either comes with a trainer or has a trainer available. So that way you're not accidentally stabbing your friend, yourself, whoever. So that's a great start point is you taking that trainer and then start to apply the simple movements. One, how do I get it out of the sheath, right? So if you're going to wear it inside the waistband, now you got to start practicing the draw stroke. The draw stroke means, well, then I have to move my shirt out of the way in a timely manner, figure out what my master grip feels like, and then going to the draw stroke and what does that draw stroke look like? You're not just going to pull it out and intimidate people. It's
Right.
got to that stroke has to be incorporated with a strike so that because let's face it, if you're pulling it just like a gun, then it better be a moment where there is an intimate threat within arm's reach and you're pulling it because your life is in danger. So all the same things apply that if when you're pulling your pistol, you're pulling your knife. And so I think that's a good starting point is get the trainers, start to figure out how you're going to carry it, where you're going to carry it in that draw stroke. And then you can kind of start stair stepping it from there.
Very good, sir. You've written a lot about home security, across all of your books, really. If your neighbor were to come up to you and say, "Hey, Clint, what do I need to do? What's the most important thing I need to do to protect my home?" What would your answer be?
Well, there's the 4 or 5 Ds, depending on how you look at it in the corporate security realm, and it certainly applies to your home. And that is, the first D is to deter, right? So, you want a bad guy to look at your home and go, "Never mind, I'm going to go on to the next one." And the things that do that is great illumination, where the outside is lit up. You want those signs and placards that say that you have a security system. If you don't have a dog, then give them the basically make them think you got one. And then, you can even put, you know, kids stuff out in the front yard because like there's two different kinds of predators you're trying to ward off. There's the one that comes during the day when we used to go to work and try to steal your stuff. And then you have the one that comes at night that usually the ones coming at night want you. But both bad guys don't want anything that's unpredictable. Kids are unpredictable. Animals are unpredictable. Your pattern of life should be unpredictable. And so you're coming and going, and when the lights go on and off, shouldn't be all the same time, same place all the time. So you got to break that up. But then the next D is, to delay, but also right in there is detect, right? They kind of go together. So that's motion sensors on additional lights, that light up and make them feel like they got caught. Delay could also be the locks on your door, making sure those are squared away. It's not about having a high security lock. It's making sure there's a great relationship between the bolt and the strike plate in the door frame. And so
Absolutely.
there's a whole breakdown of that. And of course, detecting, that's alarm systems and the beeps when a door or window opens or the alarm going off if you have it armed. And then, detain is the other big word. So making sure you have those elements that which usually relates directly to video cameras, right? You want to be able to get those people caught. And then here in Texas, I don't know where you're at, there's always the other D, which is called death. And that is, if they come inside your house, you're going to shoot them,
Mhm.
so pretty
Right.
simple stuff.
Right, right. Yeah, I know a lot of people, well, they just want to jump right to shooting somebody. And I like how you brought us through. There's a whole lot more to it than that.
You're right, and that's the piece. Like a lot of people think home security, I got to go buy a gun. It's like that's the last resort. There's a lot of other
Yes.
stuff you need to be doing so that you never even have to deal with the person in your house in the first place.
Absolutely, man. And I'm so glad that you brought up the point about the person that comes during the day and the person that comes at night. That's actually one of my favorite quotes by you about pretty much anything.
Yeah,
I've quoted you on that in my podcast, and I've actually said it to people, in my personal life, and the light bulb goes off. They're like, "Oh yeah, right."
yeah,
Because if they just want my stuff, they want to do it when I'm not here. So at night, it's a much greater risk.
right. And and I've said it so many times now that you know, it's a general statement. Some people they try to nuke it. You know what I mean? So it's a general thought
Yes,
process. Does it
yes,
mean it's true every time? No. Sure, there's a bad guy
right.
that'll come to your house at night that just wants your stuff. Just like there's a bad guy that could come to your house during the day and wants you, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom. So I mean, there are other variables, but generally speaking, statistically speaking, yeah, the ones that come during the day when you're not there just want stuff, and the ones that come at night want to harm you or your family.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. So, I really do appreciate your 100 Deadly Skills series, all the ones that you've written. And, I really enjoyed you bringing in Tony Blauer for talking about the spear system
yeah.
right from the onset of the book. What was it like working with Tony?
No, he's great, and he is a mandatory piece of anybody's fighting system. And as you know, Combat Edition is its own fighting system, right?
Yeah.
It starts with Blauer and it ends with Leclerc, well, basically Sniper, right? So
Hmm.
if you go through the book, it's in order on purpose from non-lethal to lethal. And the non-lethal stuff, especially Tony and the spear, is important for everyone to know at a minimum. You should know that because it's really how you, in his words, weather the ambush so that now you can get into the fight. So when you are caught off guard, which is most of the time, it's not. What I like about Spear and his system is it's so obvious, right? He makes things that are very obvious, like a known factor, like you didn't even think about. Well,
Hmm.
for example, if someone's gonna confront you, you don't have time to get into some stance, a fighting
Right.
stance.
Right. Right. Right.
You just have to take your startle flinch and your flinch response and weaponize it so that it works in your benefit, right? And he explains things so easy and thorough that you can't help but go, "Oh, damn! I can't believe no one else had thought of that until he came walking around and just
Right.
simplified." Once again, simplifying some things that we all do, whether it's the box falling out of the closet and you throw your hands up,
Yeah.
or it's your friend jump around the corner. The first thing you do is throw your hands up and move away from danger. And he just takes that that's inherent to every single human and teaches you how to weaponize it. I mean, it's just it's brilliant.
It is brilliant. I've actually done No Fear. I took his No Fear course, and just him breaking down that whole cycle into
Yeah,
how we as humans react, man, that is some fantastic stuff.
it is.
So, tell me about the new podcast you've got coming out.
Yeah, so we are kicking off recordings this week, and it's the "Can You Survive This" podcast, and it's going to be pretty fun and dark, and be more in line with my personality, which is a little twisted and sexual. But the goal is each guest will have to, well, the kind of the motto I've kind of, or the saying for the show is basically, the interviews are just as dangerous as the scenario we put our guests through. And so it'll start with, a great interview. It'll be fun. But then it rolls into a game. And the game is we put our guests into a real world scenario and see if they, through decision tree and multiple choice answers, survive the scenario. And so that gives the listeners an opportunity to learn from the guest or learn from their mistakes, because I'm there to guide the person through this, whatever it is. It could be a natural disaster, an active shooter. It'll be different every time. Um, and they'll almost, the audience will almost kind of get to play along
Hmm.
with this scenario. And over time, the listeners will become experts at all this stuff. And that's really the goal.
Very cool. So it's like a real life Oregon Trail. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. 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 That's probably a good one compared to,
Very
yeah.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, Clint, I am so thankful for your time. Thank you for being on the show with me today. I know people are going to want to know more about you. Where can they find you online?
Yeah, ClintEmerson.com is kind of like the, you know, belly button to my ecosystem. You can check it out there. Instagram is like my main platform, but it goes everywhere. So those are probably the best. Books, obviously, Amazon. And then if you want little apparel and stuff like that, violentnomad.com.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you being with me today. I know you're a busy man, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for your support over the years. I always like seeing Secure Dad on there, making great, cool comments. So I appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks, man.